Tess Wilkinson-Ryan, Foolproof: How Fear of Playing the Sucker Shapes Our Selves and the Social Order, and What We Can Do About It. Imagine a world where the fear of being duped shapes your choices, trust, and interactions with society. In Foolproof: How Fear of Playing the Sucker Shapes Our Selves and the Social Order, and What We Can Do About It, Tess Wilkinson-Ryan unveils the psychological and social implications of being afraid of getting scammed. This insightful summary explores the universality of feeling foolish and delves into how this fear influences decision-making, perpetuates stereotypes, and affects societal frameworks. With a blend of compelling research and real-world examples, the text navigates through the psychological triggers of suckerphobia, the fear of being a sucker, and its pervasive impact on personal and communal life. Readers are invited to confront this deeply ingrained fear and explore how acknowledging it can pave the way towards more value-driven decisions and a more just society.
The Sucker's Dilemma. Being deceived is a universal experience that touches everyone deeply. Picture this: you log into your credit card app, notice a strange $20 charge, and discover a hacker has stolen your information. Fortunately, the charge is removed, and you're relieved, even if briefly annoyed. Now, consider a different day. A seemingly trustworthy man asks for a $20 donation for a children's charity outside a grocery store. Moved by the cause, you swipe your card. Later, you learn it was a scam. Again, customer service promises to reverse the charge, but this time the unease lingers. Why does being swindled in person, when you've chosen to participate, stir such discomfort? This feeling of being made a fool is profoundly unsettling because it involves regret and alienation. Regret surfaces as you acknowledge your part in the con, essentially taping a metaphorical "kick me" sign to your own back. Alienation adds another layer of complexity. Beyond financial impact, being conned affects your social standing and sense of respect, leaving a bruised ego rather than an empty wallet. Psychologists categorize this intense dread as suckerphobia, a fear distinct to humans. They found its roots in the regret over personal choices and the demotion it causes in social hierarchy. Every scam, irrespective of outcome, has this power dynamic: a winner and a loser, a con and a sucker. The demotion in social standing makes the experience particularly painful. It's less about losing money and more about losing face. Moreover, society has repeatedly exploited the sucker narrative to propagate offensive racial, ethnic, and gender stereotypes. This dynamic is not just about individual embarrassment but also ties into broader social issues, affecting how groups are perceived and treated. The sucker story, then, is as much about societal power plays as it is about personal discomfort, delineating boundaries of trust and respect in human interaction. Hierarchies and Stereotypes. At the heart of societal hierarchies lies the concept of the sucker's game, where individuals are simultaneously portrayed as both deceivers and victims due to social status. This dual narrative is particularly visible among marginalized groups like women and people of color. For instance, the stereotype suggests women are more gullible than men, as illustrated in a 1981 car buying guide that depicted women as indecisive and easily misled consumers. On the flip side, women often face the gold digger label, especially in cases involving contested wills, where allegations of deceit are rampant regardless of marital duration or circumstances. This pattern extends to racial and ethnic minorities, revealing a bizarre duality most evident in anti-black racism. Historically, chattel slavery was justified through the portrayal of black people as foolish, yet slave owners were paradoxically advised to watch for signs of rebellion and ensure productivity, fearing deceit. Such stereotypes not only perpetuate existing hierarchies but also serve to legitimize them, reinforcing a social order where power dynamics remain skewed. These mythologies, rooted in race, gender, and ethnicity, continue to underpin societal inequality, casting a long shadow over the pursuit of genuine equity. Illusion of fairness. Scams perpetrated by those in power often wear different masks, escaping the scrutiny they deserve. Wilkinson-Ryan's research delved into scenarios where consumers faced harsh deals, like a car rental company that quietly tripled fees after parking violations were incurred. Even with unfair terms hidden in fine print, most participants felt these deals were acceptable. This surprising alignment with big companies over individuals stems from an underlying psychological need. It's daunting to accept that our world is inherently unjust. This concept is rooted in psychologist Melvin Lima's just world bias from the 1950s, which suggests we skew our perceptions to maintain the comforting illusion of fairness. Refusing to acknowledge the world's inherent unfairness can cloud our judgments, often excusing egregious behavior from those in positions of power. Systemic exploitation becomes invisible, overshadowed by the spotlight we shine on smaller cons. While big corporations frequently misuse their power, society finds small-time scams more alarming. This focus distracts us from addressing the grand, pervasive manipulations that take place. Acknowledging these systemic issues means confronting the uncomfortable reality that we are continually being deceived. Recognizing the true scale of these issues would force us to see the world as it is, a daunting prospect for many. Trust and its dilemma. The dread of falling victim to scams often deters us from living true to our values. It's common to view scams as valuable lessons, ingrained in cultural sayings that suggest once fooled, we bear the responsibility to shield ourselves from future deception. Yet, the reality of being overly cautious creates an undercurrent of mistrust, shaping who we allow into our lives. Past experiences of deception could make us hesitate when approached for help or generosity, leaving us wary of being tricked again. Consider a university professor, approached by a student requesting a deadline extension due to a family bereavement. Initially, the professor is compassionate, ready to accommodate. However, when a colleague shares tales of students fabricating such stories to dodge deadlines, doubt begins to gnaw. What if this student is lying? Criteria change, proof is now required, and heartfelt condolences are overlooked. Both parties end up disillusioned, robbed of trust and empathy, victims of fear-driven judgment. On a broader scale, an aversion to perceived risk can have profound social consequences. Take the case of $1 Million Murray, a homeless man in Reno, whose healthcare needs cost the city exorbitantly. Providing permanent housing would have saved millions, yet skepticism over fairness often stifles such logical solutions. Many grapple with the idea of their taxes funding free rides, focusing on potential exploitation rather than practical benefits. This mindset entrenches suspicion, leading to inefficiencies in public welfare. We find ourselves ensnared in a cycle where fear of exploitation skews perceptions, often at odds with cost-effective, compassionate solutions. Suspicions overshadow societal benefits, clouding judgment about who genuinely needs aid. Being overly wary shapes our decisions, rendering us blind to both the efficiency and humanity such choices could embody. It's a predicament where preserving trust might just be the key to unlocking not only personal connections but also societal harmony. Trust without fear. Life is peppered with risks and potential traps, but the real challenge lies in discerning which threats warrant our concern. It's no surprise that many of us are uneasy in a world where deception seems omnipresent. However, embracing the awareness of this sucker's game can be empowering. Recognizing our instinct to avoid being duped allows us to act more confidently, guided by our values instead of fears. Consider the situation involving a student and a professor. The professor worries about being manipulated into granting an extension. Yet, even if the student's plea is deceitful, what's the actual harm? The likely scenario is that the student is truthful, or they might have pressing personal reasons for their request. By conducting a simple cost-benefit analysis, the professor might realize that placing trust in the student poses minimal risk. If they are indeed being misled, the negative impact is negligible. On the other hand, trusting the student supports both the professor's values and the student's needs. Falling for deception occasionally is part of the human experience, it's neither catastrophic nor unusual. While it's important to acknowledge the possibility of poor outcomes, more often than not, these fears are exaggerated. The crucial takeaway is to prevent fear from dictating the way we live. This doesn't mean abandoning instinctual caution, but rather prioritizing threats worthy of attention. Next time you find yourself questioning whether to trust someone, reflect on your values and objectives. Shift your focus from potential losses to the gains for everyone involved. The fear of being taken advantage of is a shared, almost innate feeling that impacts every aspect of life. As explored in Foolproof by Tess Wilkinson-Ryan, understanding this fear can help us navigate life with open-heartedness and clarity.
As you reach the end of this enlightening journey through Foolproof, you're equipped with a deeper understanding of how the fear of being made a fool pervades and influences various facets of life. Wilkinson-Ryan pairs psychological insights with societal observations to illustrate how this fear can cloud judgment, sustain stereotypes, and undermine trust. Yet, the book offers a hopeful resolution. By recognizing our susceptibility to this fear, we can mitigate its impact. Emphasizing a shift from fear to value-based living, the text encourages readers to transcend anxiety and embrace trust, not as naivety, but as a conscious, empowering choice. This shift not only fosters personal growth, but also cultivates a more equitable and compassionate society. So, as you ponder your next interaction or decision, consider the potential for positive outcomes and meaningful connections, rather than being anchored by the fear of being a sucker.